That's a pretty good turnout. Everybody's on time. I love it. Let's go ahead and get started. So, first of all, before we jump in, does anybody have any questions or anything that they had happened to them the last week or so they'd like to discuss or get some help on? Nope.
I'll jump in. But we did an open house and we did a property boost, and oh man, it's been great. We already have two people going to qualify to our lenders from the open house, just a property boost.
That is awesome. Well done, Eric.
Nice, Eric.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
So you did a property boost on an open house, you did?
Yes.
Cool. Nice.
How many people did you have come through the open house?
We didn't have a ton of people from the open house, but we had like 20 people from the property boost. So on Monday, I just went through and I called every one of them and left messages for them. And I talked to a couple. One of the ladies I talked to, she's getting ready to, well, she's already got an appointment to go meet with our lender. And then the other one, he just emailed me today and said he's going to work with the lender. So
nice. But you remember Eric talking about a buddy of his in EXP that's his whole business model is just get people in front of lenders and they become clients. Qualified people become buyers, right, Eric?
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, he's in Chicago with EXP, and I remember I follow him a little bit, and I remember one of the things that he said. We said he's only been in real estate since November of 2018. So he hasn't been a realtor yet for 2 years. And he spent all of his time with EXP. And he just last month, he closed his 50th house. And he had a big celebration on Workplace, And everyone always asks him, what's the secret to your success? How you just start in real estate and do that? And he says, I just have one goal every month. And that's I want to get 20 people in front of my lender. That's it. So because people that get, talk to a lender, some will get qualified, some won't. Some will get qualified later. Some might get into credit repair. But the point is if you get people into, talking to a lender and getting their income and their credit pulled and figuring out what they can purchase and kind of getting a game plan if they're not ready, that's the ticket to finding buyers. So he works with a lot of buyers, obviously, but what a great way to get started. And most new agents usually start with buyers, kind of work on your skill set to get to a point where you're, doing more listings. But buyers are great because that, you get a house under contract, you're, 30 days away from your paycheck, which is really nice. And pretty much
there's a lot of different sources to find them too, Eric. I found like with our rental properties, we get people that apply for a rental and we're looking at their credit and they're like high 700 scores. They don't have very much debt. And we're like, why aren't you buying? So you don't have to have rentals to do that, but right. I mean, just contacting tenants and hooking them up with your lender and finding all kinds of sources of people that don't know what they don't know. I mean, step one is get pre-qualified. And some people don't do that step because they make assumptions based on whatever maybe happened in their past on their credit, or they remember how tough it was last time or whatever the reason. But my son's working with somebody right now just because he simply got them in front of a lender.
Yeah. Great job, Eric. Is that your first open house ever?
It is. After 20 calls, we got one open house.
Well, it sounds like it definitely is worth it for the experience and possibly worth it for a buyer or two. Awesome job. Love it.
Yeah. So we're working on another one this week. Hopefully we hear something.
Good. Love it. Well, if there's nothing else, Jeff, I'm going to share my screen.
Do it. Should be open.
Let's see. Can you guys see my screen?
There it is. EXP stock.
I'm not sure why that's up.
Today has been crazy.
Almost $3 up in one day. Just insane. But yeah.
Eric, look at that.
That's quite the spike.
That spike is this morning. All of that is today. That's quite a jump.
Yeah, that's incredible.
15% increase almost.
So I just want to jump in real quick, just like a 1 minute review of all this, for sale by owner signs that most of us ordered. If you didn't order signs and you wanted to have those, we do have a few extras for purchase. They're about $10 a sign. But the way you log in is through the shared extension or the Google Sheets that I shared. And your extensions are just listed right here. And your login is right here, the call capture land voice. I'm just going to show you how easy this is to set up your extensions when you have a property. And I'm not going to go over, all the training that we've done on it in the past, but just so you can see how easy it is to get in. The password and username is on that sheet as well. Once you log in, all you have to do, let's say you're working with an owner for sale by owner, you're going to click on extensions up here at the top. And in the bottom right, you're just going to add an extension. And you just type in your extension that you're going to record on that sign, for example. And then you just name it the property. And then you just hit record. And it's going to start recording your message on that property. And once you've done that, all you need to do is add recipient for the homeowner, because you want the homeowner to also get those messages. So on the for sale by owner program. So you can have their phone number there and their name, and you just add them in there. And now you're both going to get those notifications at the same time. Super simple. Don't overcomplicate it. But if anybody has any questions on that, just let me know. I just wanted to review that really quick. And another thing, I wanted to remind everybody and make a little bit of plug here, that if you want to know what to do first, because this class is designed for new agents, these classes in here are awesome under EXP University Library in the workplace. If you go into these classes, there's actually the Fast Start program, and there's also Excel. So Fast Start is designed, for the new agent, step by step. It's 14 classes of what to do first to really get your business off in the right direction. So 14 classes, Fast Start. And you can see all the different topics are awesome. So if you haven't done these yet, these are fantastic. If you're experienced in real estate, just need a refresher, just put these on in the background. If you don't have time and you're really busy, just get that knowledge in your brain about, how to get started correctly. And then if you want something more advanced, I've been listening to these Excel series classes. The very first one is with Dave Kennard and Chris Dixon, really good. And these are some of our top leaders. Look at all these Excel series classes that they've taught. Top agents from all over the country sharing their secrets and how to sell real estate. It's really, really good stuff. So if you need something to do and you want to learn, that's a really good way to get started in the right direction. So we have the mentor program too, but these classes are for everybody, obviously. So take advantage of those. Let's see. Isn't it funny how that little Zoom thing is always in the way? All right. So what I wanted to kind of cover tonight was, kind of some real life examples of some of the things that I've just kind of developed over the years, just kind of by trial and error. And Jeff and I were talking about this the other day, how similar we do things, but it made me think that maybe we should kind of bring up some of those simple things that we do on a daily basis when we're working with new buyers and sellers. And let's see, it was exactly 14 days ago, I got a call from a lender who had a potential lead. And he said, this is a lead, but they do have family that's a realtor already, but I said they should really get a second opinion and talk to the realtor that I've known for a long time, for years. And it was just one of those opportunities where, well, I'll give it a shot, right? So what I thought I would do today is kind of go through a process of some of the things that I do to help you guys out that are maybe newer, or maybe want to pick up some new techniques for kind of that beginning process of working with a buyer. Now, this was a referral, but it was a really cold referral. They aren't family, they aren't friends. It's a lender that got them, and he was pre-qualifying them, but while he was pre-qualifying, they said, well, we kind of have another realtor that's, a family friend, so we're probably going to go there. And he just threw my name out there and they said, yeah, we'll welcome a call from him. So I got off the phone on Tuesday with my lender, and I called those buyers immediately. I didn't do anything else. I just immediately picked up that phone, and I got out my new buyer checklist. I have a bunch of these printed off. And if you want my copy, they're in the Marchant group under files. It's one of the first things I ever uploaded in here, probably 9 months ago, Jeff, I don't know. But I use it, and you can see that, like, I scribble all over it, and I don't fill out all the lines every time necessarily. I use it kind of as just a cheat sheet to try to remind myself of things I need. But it's right here. Oh, new buyer checklist right there. So if you want a copy of it, you can download it and just grab it. So what I did is, when I talk to this new buyer, the first thing I do is I allow them to basically talk about their situation and talk about them. Of course, I use the lender as a somewhat warm, approach. They did mention right away that they had a realtor that's a friend of theirs that they're probably going to go with. But I said, that's great. Well, I'm just here to help out. My lender asked me to give you a call, and I just wanted to see if I could answer any questions for you. Tell me a little bit about your situation. That's all I said, because I didn't want to ask him how many bedrooms you're looking for, what areas you're looking for, because I didn't want to sound like a computer and I'm just going through a checklist. So I just said, tell me about your situation. And they said, well, we both work. We have a 3-year-old son, and we had twins, 8-month-old twins. We're living in my parents' basement, and we have 800 FICOs, and we're sick of living in our parents' basement as much as we love them. So it's like, okay, so what's prevented you from buying a house in the past? I said, well, we've actually looked around. We've gone to some open houses. We've looked at some homes. We even thought about putting an offer on one, even though we didn't have a realtor, supposedly. But it was gone before we could even make a move on it. So, life just happens, and another month goes by, and, they've got a pretty easy, situation. They don't have to move. They just want to move. So I said, well, that's fantastic. Well, let me tell you a little bit about what's going on in the market. Do you know what interest rates are right now? And they said, oh yeah, interest rates are really low. I said, it's a really good time to buy. So what I'd like to do is just get together kind of a little bit of a wish list of what you're looking for. Maybe I'll just take a look and see if I can find anything, and I can send you some houses. And I said, what's the most important thing you want in a house? And the husband said, dual vanities. I thought, wow, I never would have thought of that they would want dual vanities. That was super important. And they have a little dog, so they wanted a fenced yard, and they want a little place for their kids to grow up, because they're got really young kids, so they wanted a yard. So that was the first thing. So I'm getting to know them a little bit before I even ask them, like, what areas they want to live in, how many bedrooms they want. I'm building some rapport there. And it kind of led into, a little bit more, well, you have 3 kids, so do you want 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, or is 3 okay? And then we started talking about where they live, and not where they live, but where they work, what kind of commute they want, and the price range that the lender qualified them for. So I kind of walked into my buyer checklist, but at that point I started to not question whether I was going to help them because I'm offering to help them. And I'm assuming that I'm going to help them. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying, well, if you want to take a look at some, let me know. Maybe, talk to your other realtor or whatever. See, I know that they didn't have a realtor under contract with them with a buyer's agreement because they said they'd just been out looking and they hadn't signed anything. So I assumed that I could help them because I'm not asking for anything. I'm not asking them to sign anything or commit to me. So I'm just offering to help. And I'm assuming that they want help because I can do that. So I said, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all your wants and everything that you want to look at, and I'm just going to send you a list tonight of properties, and just let me know if you see any favorites there that you'd like to take a look at. So I sent it off to them, and as soon as I sent that list, I text both of them and said, hey, check your email box. I just sent you some properties. Just mark down your favorites and maybe pick your top 1, 2, and 3, and I'll get some more information on it. And the reason I said I'd get more information on it is because they might not even know what they want in the house or what questions to ask, but I can find out some more information about those top 3. They sent me 11 houses that night. And I said, well, when would you like to go look at them? And the wife said, well, I'm off tomorrow and then I work 5 days in a row. I said, well, let me see what I can do. So I set up 11 houses the next day, and we went and looked at 9 of them because 2 of them went under contract. Now, keep in mind, I don't have a buyer's agreement. I've never met them. It's not really a warm lead. I'm just driving out there and I'm showing them houses. And that could be a complete waste of time. But at the same time, I'm in the mindset of giving and helping. And I've always had really good success with being able to convert somebody into a friend and convert them into a client by just giving and helping. And it works more often than it doesn't work. So I usually do that buyer's agreement while I'm writing that first offer. So we were looking at 9 houses, and we got to know each other during that time frame. It's a lot of fun, and one of the first things I'm going to jump back a little bit. So this is one of the things that I have a lot of fun with. So when I first look at those 11 properties, I get in the MLS and I pop up those 11 houses that they want to see. I ended up showing 9, but this is what it looks like when I pull up the search. And let's see here. So I've got my 11 properties. I saved the search. This is actually the real search of these houses that I was going to show. What's funny is that they're all under contract now. Just a side point, that was 13 days ago. But I pull up those houses, and the first thing that I do when I'm going to go schedule them is I do a map report. And I map these out, and I actually take a screenshot of this map report after I put the MLS number in it. So it's loading a little bit slow, excuse me. But these are the properties that I went to go show this family. So the first thing I do is I map out which ones I'm going to go to first, so I'm not backtracking a lot. And then I screenshot this. I zoom out and I screenshot it and I print it out. So this is what it looks like. Can you see that, Jeff? So I number each one of them in the direction that I'm going to go. And then I put this in my copy machine and I make a copy of it for my buyer. So they know which house I'm going to go to first. So then I print off all of my MLS sheets and I number them at the top, which houses I'm going to go in, congruent with the map that I have out. Then I print them the exact same MLSs. And instead of doing the full agent report, I do the buyer full report. See, there's that big area right here where the agent's supposed to go. So they don't need the agent's information on the listing, but this also gives them a place to take some notes. So I haven't met these people before, and the first thing that I do when I meet them is give them a little rundown of what we're going to do. We're going to go look at these houses, and I hand them this clipboard with my pen on it. And I say, this is for you. You can take this in your car. It's got all of the properties numbered and which ones we're going to go to. So if you get lost, you'll know which way to go. You just go to the next house that we're going to look at. And then I explain to them there's a spot down here for them to take notes. I want you to take notes. Tell me what you like about the house and what you dislike about it. Because what I'm doing is I'm learning what you like and what you dislike about a house, which helps me in the future. So just a little thing. And the wife actually said, that is so cool. She thought that was so great. I gave her a clipboard with all the properties and the map. And she said, that's so helpful. Thank you. Because they just had chicken scratches in a notebook, and they just showed up at the first house. So it really kind of set the tone of me helping them out. And this isn't the first day I've done this. Now I'm going to back up even further. So the night before, when they gave me those 11 properties, what I do is I pull out on my phone. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's Waze Maps. It's kind of like Google Maps, but it's a directional. And I found myself that Waze is more accurate than Google Maps. But what I do is I take number 11 the night before, and I punch it in my Waze app, and I hit go. So it actually starts my GPS the night before, and then I close it, not the app, just that property, and then I go to number 10, and then I go to number 9 and 8, all the way to 1. So when I open up my Waze app, when I'm going to meet them the next day, my property number 1 is the one on top. Because I've never met him before, and I was going to Roy up by Ogden. It's not my normal area that I go to. I don't want to get lost. I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing. And I also want to focus on them and not the fact that I'm trying to figure out where the next property is. So once I get to that, once I'm done with that first property, I just open up my app and I just hit the next one and the next one and the next one, because it's all set up in the right order. So that's just a little trick that I like to do to keep my sanity when I'm out looking at houses, because most of the time people are following you in their car. And if they're ready to go and you're kind of fumbling through papers, I've always felt like I'm trying to be the leader, and that helps me relax and just do what I need to do and focus on what I'm trying to do instead of getting lost. So Jeff, I need some water. You got any input on that?
Hey, Eric, real quick, have you used Showing Time for that exact same thing?
So I use Showing Time to set them up.
But have you done a multiple search, and then you can actually draw the lines and pinpoint and get the shortest route? Have you seen that feature?
You know, I haven't. I guess.
And then when you use your app, you can actually just click the top one, and then it automatically sets it up for you instead of doing it individually.
Okay. Is it through? It's not through Waze though, right?
No, it's through Showing Time. So what you'll do is when you go into Showing Time, you'll schedule multiple showings, put all the MLS in there, and then what you can do is you can actually drag what property you want number 1, and then it will automatically put the routes in there and show you the distance of time. And then when they get approved in your mobile app, it'll actually show you the properties 1 through 5, and you just click on it and it'll automatically take you to that property.
Do you want to share your screen, Tyler, and take over?
I can pull it up real quick. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, I can. It don't matter. Or I can show you on here.
That's awesome. That's great. It's pretty much the same thing, but probably easier than the way I do it. I've just been doing it the same way for a long time. So.
Well, and it's pretty new, I think.
Yeah.
But it's really nice. I can show if you want to schedule, like say, just show 2 showings or something. And I can show you how to pick it. But
yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I love that.
You want to take a couple, Tyler, or you want to take the screen share?
Or we do it at a different time?
it's up to you. If you want to pick a couple, I can just show you. It's really straightforward. Just have like 2 MLSs you want to put in there, or like type, oh, so you have 11 right there. So if you just go to your showing time, let's see, where you schedule a showing.
Yep.
Um,
So while you're pulling that up, Tyler, Shantae said in the chat that she schedules calendar invites for her clients and herself so that they both have the address in the invite. It's kind of cool.
Oh,
See, I
that's
think I'd still use the same map you were talking about because I think that's awesome. But as far as, like you were saying, to keep your sanity with breaking out as far as maps, it's a little bit easier. Let me
for
just
sure.
pull this up.
So what's the next step you do, Tyler?
So if you can add to showing cart, it's the bottom right. And then add another one. So there's, let's see, it'll put one in there. Yep, go for today. You got to select your buyer. You can just put some random person in there. Or if you have one in there already, not yet. You don't have to have a buyer. And then you can close that and then go do another one. So you get multiple requests in there. So maybe pull up another MLS and then request a showing. And then obviously it doesn't work if the agent's not wanting to use showing time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm finding more and more are wanting to do that. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I
And
noticed.
I still call them too. So yeah, you can add to showing cart. And then there you go. There's a tour. And
there's your map.
there's your map at the bottom. And then if you scroll down a little bit, you can actually, so see the numbers. If you want, like say you wanted to start where number 1 or where number 2 is, you just slide that up at the top. So like the 2610, you actually just slide that whole section up itself and then it'll move it. So that's your first one. And then do you see on the right there, it says it's 3.6 miles away and it's 9 minutes, I believe.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of track your times when you're actually picking your windows. So you can say, okay, it's a 10-minute drive. Maybe I need X amount of time when you're scheduling. So it's just a lot easier way. Because I did exactly what you were doing until actually last week. So it's kind of a new thing.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen this part of showing time yet. And I know not all MLSs are going to have this either. But I sure like the map's prettier than mine. I like that. That's nice.
And then when you go into your app on your phone, it'll actually have them all in order and show if they're confirmed. And then you just touch it and it'll take you right to it. So,
Perfect.
But it doesn't make a pretty map for your client. So yeah, I'd still probably do what you were doing as well.
Well, thanks, Tyler. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, that was great input, Tyler, because I think a lot of the tools that we use, we would all be surprised if we knew what the capabilities really were versus what we actually use, just because we haven't come across for it or we haven't spent the time. Hey, I'm really going to learn showing time and become an expert at showing time, right? So that was a great share, and I think it could save some people some time, Tyler.
Man, that's fantastic. Thanks, Tyler. Not sure if like some of the other MLSs, I don't know how big showing time is like in other MLSs, or if it's, more of a specialty item for our MLS or not, but.
I have an example for you. I had to set up a showing the other day, and when I called, she already had all my information there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she just set it up for me and I was good to go. And then I got a accept or decline, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's great. So I think probably what we want to do, well, I think the most important thing to me is really the fact that I'm prepared and I'm in control of my emotions and what I'm going to do with that client, especially if I'm meeting for the first time, because I want to focus on rapport and not scrambling and looking like I'm nervous or I don't know what I'm doing or I haven't been out looking at houses ever in my life before, right? That's number one. And then, number two is I want to be able to, I want to give them something that they're going to remember or appreciate, which is why I do the list and the clipboard and the pen and just kind of explain why I do it. And hopefully I'm giving them something that they hadn't thought of before that's really going to help them out, and it's going to help them in the process. So however you map them out, this way looks a lot better than the way I was doing it, for sure, Tyler. But yeah, those are the two reasons I do it. Makes however you do it, make it easier. It's fantastic. So any questions or thoughts on any of that?
Well, however you do your routing is probably irrelevant, whatever works for your personality. I think the most important point you're trying to make there, Eric, is for one, you're looking professional, you're looking organized, you know what you're doing, and people are looking for a coach. They're looking for a guide, somebody to help them through the process. And what you do by going out there and showing them the properties is, I mean, how much face time did you spend with those people?
Yeah, it's interesting because you're not spending a ton of FaceTime at the beginning, really, because you're in each other's cars. You know what I mean? They go in with their car. So it's very kind of limited. So you really got to nail it, right?
Right. But I mean, in the house though, as you're showing them the house, as you're walking around the house, you're kind of talking to them about the buying process, conversation comes up to where in little bits and pieces at each house, they're getting to know you, your personality, and the fact that you're asking them guiding questions on what's important to them. You're not trying to push them towards buying a house. You're trying to find out what their needs are so you can help them fit their needs. So you probably do something similar like I do. When we go see the first house out of those 9 so far, that's number 1, right? Yeah. We go to house number 2. Now we have a sorting process. And as I go to each house, I ask them, did this knock the first one off the list? Or is that one still number 1? Because in their mind, they need to really kind of come to grips with what they're willing to do without and what they absolutely will not do without. And so you showing these guys 9 properties, you probably created a really good baseline on what their wants are, right? And so they're not going to drop below that on certain things, right?
Right.
And like you said, that rapport, you probably have done more and spent more time with them than other agents. For instance, if somebody doesn't have an agent, they likely have gone to a couple open houses. They've called one-offs here and there and set up one appointment with that agent, one appointment with this agent. And then maybe that agent tried to capture them as a lead or as a client and was maybe a little salesy or whatnot. There's a reason why they didn't call that agent back, right? And the first thing you did from the phone call is set up some appointments and offered some good value. So I love that. And oftentimes I'll even say, some agents may ask you to enter a contract right off the bat before they do what we're doing today. I don't do that because this is a relationship business and we need to make sure we're a good fit to work together before we start talking about obligations like that, right? And that puts them at ease, right? They're more comfortable now spending that afternoon with you because you just told them, hey, we're not making any commitments. This is just your first date, right? You're going to get to know each other and then you'll decide at the end of the day if there's going to be a second date.
I like that. That's great. I've actually never said that if this one knocks off the previous one that we just looked at, like, is it moving to the top of the list?
It's always a sorting process for me because I'm just like, they're only buying one house.
Yeah.
So if they keep talking to me about what they liked on number 4, why is it number 4?
Mm-hmm.
Just has that one feature that they really want, but the rest of the house was crap, right? So now that tells me it wasn't necessarily that house, but they really liked the open floor plan or whatever it might have been, right? There's that one thing they keep going back to. So if I can find that for them in one of these other houses, it's a 1 or a 2, then that's the offer house.
Yeah. That's awesome. I like that, Jeff. That's really good. Yeah. So ironically, I think we stopped on the house that we offered on. Yeah. This is actually the one that's under contract. So I ended up writing that offer on the house that night and I was under contract on Thursday. So in 48 hours, I talked to him over the phone for the first time and I was under contract within 2 days. But one of the things that I asked them at the end was, rank your out of all 9 that we did end up seeing, rank 1, 2, and 3. And then I talked to them why this one was their number 1 and what they liked about it most. So I did have a couple backups if they weren't, if we didn't get this one, but they really like this one the best, and we were fortunate enough to get it. There were a couple other offers that came in on it the same day because everything's selling so fast in this price range. But one thing that I thought would be a really good opportunity to talk to everybody about is just a little kind of off the side education here, or out of the norm. We see this a lot more, but we have solar panels on this house, and it actually became a little bit of an issue with this property over the past week. So this house has solar panels that would be removed, but they really kind of wanted to leave them there if the buyer would take over the contract on it. And so my buyer happened to really want solar, and he wanted to install solar anyway. So this was actually kind of a selling point for him that it had solar already. So we wrote up our offer with keeping the solar panels, which I think might have had something to do with us winning the offer, to be honest, just because the seller was kind of like, good, I don't need to worry about the solar and taking it off and repairing the roof and all that. So it kind of probably gave us a leg up on some of the other offers. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is because there's more and more houses that have solar now, and it's something that we have to address and we have to think about. There's different solar companies. Inspectors don't like to inspect solar because they're not solar experts, right? A lot of them. And you have to get a separate inspection. You have to find out about the warranty on it, what the loan looks like if you're doing an assumption. So on this one, the seller told the listing agent that they had $17,000 left on their on the balance. So they've only had it for a couple years. And the buyer was willing to take that over. But what's interesting is the seller thought it was 17, and I really sincerely believe that. The listing agent told me it was 17. The backup offer that came in behind me thought it was 17. But during our due diligence phase, I made some calls to the solar company and the solar loan, and I had to get authorization from the seller to allow me to talk to the solar company about the loan on it, so I could have a discussion with it. So I did a 3-way call with, or however many, 4-way call, the solar loan company, the listing agent, myself, and the seller to give me authorization so I could talk about this loan. And what happened is, I'm going to pull this up. You guys can see this. This is actually what the solar loan looks like. So I got this information and I thought, well, you've got an outstanding principal of 25, a target principal is 17.8, a total target balance date of February 1, and then your maturity rate and interest rate and the monthly payment. So does anybody know what any of these target principal, target balance dates or outstanding balances mean on this loan? I'm just curious if anybody knows.
I don't know.
I didn't know. So I was like, what does that even mean? You told me the balance was 17. So when I dug into this loan, what happened is they had an 18-month promotional on this solar loan. So if the owners, if the owners paid it down below 17.8 by the target date of February 1, 2020, that would be their balance, whatever this was below. If they didn't get it below this balance, it re-amortizes to $25,000. Their payment adjusts higher and they have a higher amount. So it's a reward to pay it down in the first 18 months below that target balance. And once they miss that target balance date, it jumps and there's nothing they can do. It's part of the contract. So I had an interesting discussion with the listing agent saying, I think that you need to let your sellers know that they actually owe $8,000 more on their solar than they think. And you probably should let the backup offer know as well, because they assume that it's 17 also.
Ouch.
Yeah. So the reason I wanted to kind of bring it up is because we're running into more solar, but I really didn't know what I was getting into. But it's just so important that as when we're representing our buyers and sellers, that we really we find out those tough answers that we might not know about until later, because I could have found out about the actual balance a few days before closing, when they're about to assume everything and close on it. All of our dates are passed and I got earnest money that's hard. And all of a sudden the house is $8,000 more than I thought it was, and the buyers. And that could have been a real problem. So we negotiated through it. Ended up getting a 4,000 concession out of the seller to make up for part of that difference, and also some additional repairs. So, I mean, it worked out massively in the buyer's favor. And the sellers obviously didn't want to start over, with a backup offer. What's really interesting about this situation is the sellers had run all of their numbers based on 17,000, already have another property under contract, and their debt to income ratio is within $1,000. Like, they are super, super tight. So that extra 8,000 would have, if they had to pay that off, it would knock them out of being able to buy the house they were already under contract. So it was potential that the sellers and the buyers could have lost their earnest money just because of this floating $8,000 that nobody knew about. So really an interesting situation. More of a lesson for me to just, keep digging till you get every answer. Don't quit, don't stop until you can really give your buyers an informed decision. And sometimes when you buy and sell a house, you're just like, man, that was really easy. I got paid really well for an easy job. And then there's other times where you really earn, what you get paid, because you're really doing it. You're there to protect your buyer and your seller. So, yeah, that's kind of what I had today, Jeff. I just wanted to bring up those points. That was kind of my week and a half, the last 12, 13 days with this one buyer that had quite a lot of ups and downs and interesting moments. So
yeah, I remember we talked about that transaction a couple of times. And, one thing to just note on this is I know agents personally that don't think it's their responsibility to do due diligence for their clients. They think it's the client's responsibility to investigate all of these things. And I'm like, well, what are you for?
yeah.
Oh, we can't make the decision for them, and we can give them opinions, and we can do some digging like you did. Would they have made this call? Would they have thought to call the solar company and verify? Probably not. The seller gave them, all you were doing was verifying what you had been told, right? And
Right.
The seller had said one number, the agent said one number, and most buyers would just assume that's what it is. So super, super important to kind of verify everything. So good job on that one.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, it was kind of a shocker. I thought, well, that sounds like a deal killer to me, but we worked it out. We worked through it. But luckily we did it within 3 or 4 days of going under contract. So I didn't have to battle that due diligence deadline. I didn't wait. And that's one thing I told the listing agent when I knew there was multiple offers, is I said, you'll really like working with me because I get after it and I move fast. And and it's true, I do, because I want to hurry up and wait. I want to be like, I am so done with this deal. We're not going to close for 18, 19 days and I'm completely done.
Yeah.
And that's a good feeling when you're just like, you're done. So it's not like a timer. Like you got 30 days and you do a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here, all the way till the end. No, you just like get it done all at the beginning, and then you wait for your settlement. And that avoids a lot of problems. So yeah, got on it quick and it ended up working out, but I thought it'd be a good example to share. So
It's a great example. And another thing that brings up is this group we're in right here, right? I mean, Eric, you and I collaborate on a lot of transactions just to kind of throw it by each other. And I hope everybody in this room knows that hasn't done very many transactions. If you're sitting there going, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Or should I be doing something because I'm not doing anything? Is there something I should be doing? You know, that's what Eric and I are here for. And some of the more experienced agents in the group is make that phone call. Say, hey, I want to throw something by you. If you were in this situation, what would you do? That's where the gold is in this little group we've got going here. So you guys take advantage of that.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I learned something today too, just how to do mapping better with showing time. Thank you, Tyler, for that. Appreciate it, because it's all about all of us getting a little bit better. You know, I feel like I've learned more from Jeff and Lynn in the last year and a half than I had the previous 10 years, and more than I could even teach. So it's all about getting better and learning from experience and from each other, for sure. So thanks, Jeff and everyone, and Tyler. By the way, Tyler has just done an awesome job. Been a good friend of mine for a long time, got his license and graduated the mentor program, and he's got I think at least 2 or 3 under contract right now. So gaining some nice momentum, and I'm really proud of him. And I just want to say good job, and thanks for being on tonight and helping me out and making tonight's class better. Thanks, Tyler.
Absolutely.
So we got a bunch of questions, don't we? Did I miss them all, Jeff?
No. One that Shantae asked when you were back on the classes, you were showing the recorded classes in Workplace. She was wondering how those work when you're traveling, like listening to a podcast or an audiobook or something. How does that reception come through? But they're just links to recordings, right?
Yes. Yep.
So it should just work exactly the same, Shantae. You just,
Yeah, as
link.
long as your internet's pulling through, okay. Yeah, you're fine. I've listened to them on the road before.
So that was awesome, Eric. I mean, I want to give everybody an opportunity to maybe like add a question or a comment or a concern, something you're working with before we wrap up the end of the hour here. I know there's a bunch of you on the call, but if anybody has something, don't be shy.
Thanks, Arlene. Shantae, appreciate it. Yeah, Google Calendar is awesome. I need to work on that better. That's a really good idea. If you have an appointment with a buyer, send them a Google invite on the calendar. That's brilliant. I've never done that because I would have remembered. So that's great. I send them to Jeff all the time, but not my client.
Jeff needs all the help he can get.
Can't do without you, buddy. So I got to make sure.
All right.
Going once, going twice.
I don't think we have anything. All right, guys, we're here for you. Reach out if something comes up.
Thanks, guys. It was awesome.
Yeah, thanks again.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Thanks.
Appreciate the
Bye.
meeting.
Thanks.
Later.
See you guys.
Have a good night, guys.